Thanks War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Fiat 2000 tank cross-section. Arguably, the most significant technological development of the First World War was the creation of the tank and the way in which they rolled their way inexorably across no man's land, changing the nature of warfare forever. Tanks that were designed by the British, the French, and the Germans are the best known and are the basis of modern-day armored vehicles. But some other nations, which are often overlooked, also contributed to the development of tanks. In order to try to gain an advantage on the battlefield, Italy set out to develop a tank of its own, resulting in the Fiat 2000, an innovative, if forgotten part of the Great War. Origins. Italy entered the war in 1915 alongside the Allied powers, their primary adversary being the Austro-Hungarian Empire, with most of the fighting taking place in the rugged terrain of the Alps. As early as October 1915, Italian car manufacturer Fiat began development of an armored vehicle that would, hopefully, give the military an edge over their opponents. However, the process was so slow that the government turned to the French, who delivered a Schneider CA-1 and later on Renault FT-17s, which became the backbone of Italy's tank force. It wasn't until 1917 that the Fiat design was finally ready for testing. Compared to the 6-ton Renault or the 15-ton Schneider, the Fiat 2000 was a gargantuan 40-ton behemoth of a vehicle. Testing was started in June of 1917 with the first prototype, although it was an incomplete vehicle. The mechanics of the main body hull were in place, but the superstructure consisted of a wooden mock-up, since the actual metal parts weren't finished. Later on, a second prototype would be made with some alterations to the basic design. Only 2 prototypes of the Fiat 2000 were created, and though very similar, there were slight differences between them. The most obvious difference is the armor plating, with the metal skirt of prototype number 1 being made of several armored plates welded together, whereas prototype number 2 being made of a single piece of metal. The exact arrangement of the weaponry was also slightly different, with the machine guns of number 1 being placed directly front and back, while those on number 2 placed at the corners of the superstructure. Dimensions. The Fiat 2000 was an immense vehicle, one of the largest produced during the First World War. It was much heavier than any other tank of the conflict, including the German A7V. It was just over 24 feet in length, 10 feet wide, and 13 feet in height. The boxy structure made the tank resemble a pillbox, and many contemporary sources refer to the vehicle as a mobile fort. Armament. The Fiat 2000 was heavily armed, though, capable of dishing out a tremendous amount of firepower. The primary armament was a 65mm howitzer, which was a compact artillery piece that was designed for use in the mountains. The gun would be placed in a dome-shaped turret on the top of the vehicle, which could rotate 360 degrees, with a depression of -10 degrees and an elevation of 75 degrees, giving the tank a wide field of fire. To protect the tank and its crew from enemy infantry, it had numerous portholes located around the hull that could be fitted with up to 8 Fiat Ravelli 6.5mm machine guns. The machine guns were positioned with various configurations, with the intention of covering the tank from all angles. For those passionate about tanks and eager to experience them firsthand, War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, offers an unparalleled opportunity. Developed with the powerful Dagor engine, War Thunder lets you command over 2,500 meticulously crafted planes, tanks, helicopters, and ships from 10 major nations. From the humble biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to today's advanced fighter jets and main battle tanks, War Thunder covers it all. Engage in intense combat scenarios with incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and authentic sound effects that place you right in the thick of the action. And with this attention to detail highlighted by their impressive X-ray feature, War Thunder guarantees that every battle feels as real as it gets. War Thunder caters to every type of player with 3 distinct game modes. For those who crave fast-paced action, Arcade Mode offers enhanced vehicle performance and simplified physics. Simulator Mode provides the ultimate challenge with no guardrails, while Realistic Mode, our personal favorite, strikes the perfect balance between intensity and authenticity. No matter your preference, there is a mode for you. Join a global community of over 70 million players and participate in epic PvP battles that'll test your skills and strategy. New and returning players that haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms that includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account. It's available for a limited time only, so be quick. Dive into the action by clicking the link in the description below and discover why War Thunder is unmatched in its genre. Armor. The Fiat 2000 armor was thick by First World War standards, ranging from 10 to 15 millimeters on the sides and rear, and up to 20 millimeters at the front, more substantial than most of its contemporaries. The structure of the tank did slope upwards slightly, though at too shallow of an angle to be considered true sloped armor, which meant that the tank relied on the thickness and toughness of the armor plating to deflect enemy fire. Crew. The number of crew originally allocated to a tank was set up for 10 men, though most of these operated the machine guns, but since it was unlikely that all of the weapons would be needed at the same time, the crew would likely be reduced to around 8. The driver sat in the center at the front of the tank and viewed the world either through a periscope or, if circumstances permitted, through a large hatch at the front of the vehicle, though this would place the driver and the rest of the crew at risk and would only be done when not in a combat situation. The crew would enter through a hatch on the left side of the tank and would position themselves in the designated crew compartments, which was located above the engine, transmission, and other internal workings, separated by a bulkhead. With the crew compartments separated, the men had more room to maneuver compared to the tanks of other nations. Powerplant and Performance. The vehicle was propelled by a single 6-cylinder Fiat A12 aviation engine, which had a power output of around 250 horsepower. The engine was primarily used in aircraft, and as a result, the tank ran on aviation fuel. Because of the immense weight of the tank, the top speed of the Fiat 2000 was around 4 miles per hour on flat, even surfaces, about the speed of a brisk walk. This was not seen as detrimental, since at this point, tanks were seen as ways to support infantry advances, rather than striking out on their own. And so having a top speed faster than an infantryman could advance was unnecessary. Service life. Though innovative in its own way, the Fiat 2000 was ultimately a failure. It was just too large and cumbersome to be of any use on the narrow mountain passes of the Alps, where the bulk of Italy's fighting was taking place. Another issue plaguing the process was the slow speed of development. Though the idea initially started in 1915, it wasn't until 1917 when the first prototype began testing, and this was just the hull, lacking the proper superstructure, with the second vehicle remaining unfinished until February 1918. The program was cancelled on November 4, 1918, just days before the ending of hostilities. Prototype number 2 was deployed to the Piave River, the site of the last Austro-Hungarian offensive into Italy during the war, though there's no indication that it was used in combat, and was likely just there to conduct tests. After the war, no further prototypes of the Fiat 2000 were built, though they did see some combat. In 1919, revolts in parts of Italian-held Africa led to the deployment of at least one tank to Libya. Sources are unclear as to whether both prototypes were sent, or only prototype number 2. In any event, either one or both of the tanks were part of a force sent to recapture the city of Jadabub, although exactly how they performed this in the campaign is a mystery. In spite of this, Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi depicted the Fiat 2000 on a series of stamps, including a commemoration of a battle that occurred in 1913, well before the Fiat 2000, or the very idea of a tank in general, even existed. The ultimate fate of the two prototypes is also a source of debate and speculation by historians. The last known photograph of prototype number 1 was taken in 1924. An inventory of vehicles and equipment taken in 1925 and 1926 lists only one tank. Prototype number 2 is known to have existed into the 1930s, so its companion is presumed to have been scrapped, though this cannot be confirmed. As late as 1934, prototype number 2 was modified, replacing the forward-facing machine guns with 37mm cannons. It was used for training as well as propaganda purposes, though its eventual fate is unknown. Shortly after this modification, the final Fiat 2000 disappeared from records and history, presumably having been scrapped. By the time the Second World War broke out, it had disappeared without a trace. As it was only Italy's first attempt at a tank design, it was quite innovative in its own way and did include features found in modern tanks, such as a rotating turret. It ultimately proved unsuitable for combat and was far outstripped by other tank designs. The next Italian tank to be produced was the Fiat 3000, which was based on the French Renault FT. When it was created, tank design was still in its infancy, and the Fiat 2000 was a creative attempt to build an effective vehicle from the ground up, an experiment that represented the growing pains of a new type of warfare, one which would eventually dominate battlefields around the world. In 2017, work began on creating a full-sized replica after a 1/5 scale wooden model was found and purchased by an Italian military vehicle restoration group, Spa Militaire. After crowdsourcing financing, the group managed to build a fully functional replica of the original, which was completed in 2020. It now resides at the Museo Civico delle Forze Armate, 1914 to 1945, in Vicenza, Italy. In addition to being a museum exhibit, the tank was also intended to be commercialized, being used in movies, rentals, and other displays, which will help fund the restoration and recreation of other historic Italian tanks and vehicles. A huge thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. Dive into the action and play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox by clicking the link in the description below. If you're new or haven't played in the last 6 months, you're in for a treat with a massive bonus pack that includes premium vehicles and other awesome stuff, available on all platforms. Hurry up though, this special offer won't last forever.